In this video, we are going to look at centroid of a shaded area. So in this question, we are supposed to locate the centroid of the shaded area shown. So when you look at this area, we have this side being the shaded area, right? So we are supposed to find the centroid of it, and this is our reference point. So first, what you must do now is we should identify the number of geometric shape that we have. This is 1. We have a semicircle. If you can see that, if you trace this to the side, we have what? A triangle, which is 2. And we have a square, which is what? 3. One key thing about the centroid of shaded area is that with the place which is not shaded, what you must know is that when finding the area of that, you make it negative. Right, let's go into it. You see what I'm talking about. So then let's start with first the shape, which is what? A semicircle. So let's start with a semicircle. We have our semicircle. Now, from the previous video, we learned that we should find the area first, right? So now let's find the area. Now, the area of a semicircle area is equal to pi on 2 r squared. And in that case, they give us our radius for the semicircle to be 125 millimeters. So we have pi bracket open 125 squared all over 2. And in that case, the area becomes 24543.69 millimeters squared. After the area, we need to find the individual centroid, or we need to find the centroid of the semicircle. So finding the centroid of a semicircle from the properties of plane figures, you know that our x centroid to the x direction is going to give you 4r over 3 pi. And in that case, you have 4 into brackets 125 over 3 pi. And the answer that we're going to get is 53.03 millimeters. Note that this formula is from a table that's to be given to you for you to know, right? So 4r over 3 pi is just in the properties of plane figures that you take it from. But with the y direction for a semicircle is 0, right? Now let's move on to the second shape, which is what? The triangle. So for the triangle, we finding the area of a triangle. You know the area of a triangle is area is equal to half base height, right? So in that case, you have half times the base. The base is what? 75. And the height is also what? 75. So in that case, when you do that correctly, you're going to have the area to be 2812.5 millimeters squared. So let's continue the calculation. Now let's move on to the centroid of the we are trying to find the centroid of the triangle. From the properties of plane figures, we know that finding the x direction for this triangle, we're going to have it to be the height divided by 3, which in this case the height here is what? 75. So we have 75 millimeters divided by 3, which will give you 25 millimeters. Then we come to the y with the y coordinates. So we are just, this will be this and this will be this. So we are finding this side, right? Yeah. So for the y, since this is the reference point and moving here is the negative side, you're going to have negative b on 3. And with negative b on 3, we're going to get negative 75 on 3, which will give you negative 25 millimeters. Then we move on to the last, that is shape 3, which is a square. So let's move on to the square. So for the square, you know that finding the area of a square, the area is going to give you length squared, which in this case, the length is 75. So you're going to get 75 by 75. And you're going to get your area to be 5625 millimeters squared. And then you're going to find the centroid for a square. You know that from the properties of plane figures, you're going to have the length divided by 2, which is 75 divided by 2, which will give you 37.5 millimeters. And note that this is also equal to what? The y, because it's a square. So for square, finding the centroid of a square, right? From the properties of plane figures, the y direction is also equal to the x direction, so we don't need to. So after getting all this, then what you need to do is that put this in a table form so that you can make your work so easily. But what are we looking for? We are looking for the centroid, right, of the shaded what? Of the shaded portion. So for that, we know that finding the centroid, x bar will be equal to the summation of what? The xi times the area all over the summation of what? The area. The same applies to the y bar, which is equal to the summation of what? Yi all over what? The summation of what? A. So in this case, we need to get a table. Right? I've prepared a table down there, but before I started, I told you guys that when finding the centroid of the what? The shaded portion, the one which is unshaded, their area becomes negative. So in that case, this area here becomes negative when you're applying it on the table. No, this is the shaded one, right? So this one becomes positive, sorry. But this is the shaded one. But apart from this, the unshaded one, this becomes negative, and this one becomes negative because it's unshaded. Let's get into the table. So you can put these values down, then you follow me to the table. I have the table here. So with the table, this is the table. The reason why you must do the table is that it makes your work easier and also faster, and it makes it very nice to get correct answers. Yeah. So let's get going. So for the semicircle, which is one shape 1, we had the x direction to be 53.0305, sorry. And there's the units. Don't forget the units, millimeters. This is millimeters. This is the area, millimeters squared. This is millimeters cube. and this is also millimeters cube, right? So in that case, let's continue. We had the y to be what? 0. So for the area, we had the area to be what? In this case, we had it to be 24543.69, right? So when you multiply the area by the x, that's the AXI, what are you going to get? You're going to get 130205338.95. That's what you're going to get. Then when you multiply the 0 by the area, you're going to get 0 for the x, for the y, right? Now let's go to shape number 2. With shape number 2, we know that we had the xi to be 25, the y to be what? Negative 25, right? So when you multiply the x, and we had the area, let's check the area. The area we had was what? 2812.5, right? So let's do the ax and ay. So I told you that with this, since it's unshaded, the area becomes negative, right? That's what I've indicated here, please. That's very important. So then we are going to find axi. Axi, I'm going to multiply this by that. And when you multiply by that, you're going to get negative 70312.5. And then we are going to multiply the negative by the y, which will give you the same answer, but in this case, it's positive, right? 31. That's 0.312.5. This is 0.5. Yes, right. Let's move on to the third one. For the third one, for the square, we established that since the square just divided by the length by 2, so the x becomes 37.5 millimeters. Sorry, the millimeters is the 37.5. And the area, we had the area to be what? 5.625. And in that case, since it's unshaded, it becomes negative. Please, let's take note of that. Then we are going to multiply. Let's multiply. So where we multiply, we are going to have the ax to be the same as the axy, because they are all the same. So we are going to have the answer will be multiplying this by 37.5. We are going to get negative 210,937.5. Negative 210,937.5. So then after you are done, you need to find a total because it's a summation. So then we need a total of a. So we need a total of a. We need a total of a. We need a total of a, right? So with the total of a, you are going to add this, and when you add them correctly, you are supposed to get 1610.6.19. You are going to get 16106.19. And we are supposed to add this one too. When you add this, what you're going to get is you're going to get 127,39288.95. And when you add this one to, what you're going to get is negative 140,625. Now, you see, with a table form, it makes work very easy. Then we move on to what you are searching for. That is the centroid. So for x bar, you know that it will be the summation of axi over the summation of area. So in that case, axi, where is axi? You go back to axi. So we know that this is axi. So you're going to get 1273988.95 divided by the area, summation of the area, 6.19. And when you do that correctly, your answer should give you 63.37 millimeters. Then you come back to the y. So with the y1, you know that it will be the summation of what? The yi's times what? The area all over the summation of what? Summation of the what? Summation of the area, right? So area. So in that case, when you are doing it, what you do now is that you're going to have the total, which is negative 140,625 divided by the total area is 1610.6.19. And when you take the calculator and you do it, you're going to have it to be negative 8.73 millimeters.